Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55, presented by Champion Salon and Barber. To book your appointment, go to championsalonandbarber.com.
Top 5 coaches who took themselves off the hot seat for now. Number 5. Neil Brown at West Virginia. I know that they've been up and down. I know that all West Virginia fans maybe don't feel this way. But for right now, you can cool the temperature on his seat because he's managed to, with a team without hardly any offensive weapons, get them to the point where they can win some games. And they've won some games that nobody thought they would win this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's fine for right now, but I need to see something next year. I mean, if I don't see some type of massive improvement next year, then I think that you really have to kind of start to wonder what's he gonna really do there. Yeah, I mean they're a good middle of the road Big 12 team right now, and good's probably even putting it on a little too heavy. They're an average Big 12 team in the middle of the pack right now, but they are capable and talented enough to, on a good day, jump up and bite you. But they got to figure out the offense. And what that's going to look like moving forward. O-line needs a lot of work. Quarterback, that's a question mark. And, even a Letty Brown hasn't been good this year.
I try to remember him. He has done nothing.
He's done nothing.
Yeah.
So, just the offenses, I mean, they always have great receivers or guys who are fully capable of making some plays. But, yeah, they got a lot of work to do, but I do think he's safe for right now.
Either West Virginia or Texas this weekend will be out of a bowl.
Yep, it's a bowl off. Whoever wins is sitting in a position where they got to win their last game, and whoever loses is done. They're not going.
Letty Brown has 11 rushing touchdowns, though. They seem to be quiet, 751 yards through his 10 games.
All right, number 4, Phil Montgomery at Tulsa. Early in the year, rocky, and they've kind of picked it up. It has not been a banner year for Tulsa, but I also think that that's not a job where I think you just have one bad season, they get rid of you. Just a couple years ago, they were in contention for the conference crown. And their conference is about to change immensely, and I think keeping Philip Montgomery would be a good thing there.
And kind of like this with
but that's how Tulsa is, no matter who the coach is.
Wasn't last year the year they had the dramatic year? Mm-hmm. But they've been up and down, but it's not like, you see sustainability. They're going to win 8-9 games in a row, 2-3 years in a row.
So they're 4-6. They were 6-3. They were 4-8, 3-9, 2-10, 10-3, 6-7. That's what he's done so far, Philip Montgomery. So they had that bowl game the first year, 10 wins that second year, and then a bowl game last year, but 2, 3, and 4 wins in between. So I mean, it's definitely been an up and down roller coaster. But they don't have the same type of. Like, they're not USC or Texas or Florida. So I think that they realize, hey, if every couple of years it gets us to a bowl game, maybe that's all that matters. And if so, then he's doing his job.
Yeah. And again, the conference is about to change. You could hit the accelerator.
Well, if they don't take full advantage, Tulsa's set up to be one of those teams that should definitely benefit from some of the teams that are leaving, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 3, Dino Babers at Syracuse. Really high on the hot seat, but they've got some okay wins this year. They've got some bad losses, but I don't know if you're Syracuse if you just want to do this right now, unless you're just, and I think he's taken himself off. He's got some good wins this year, and he's moved down the list. He was very much in trouble very early in the year, but he's gotten some wins after some bad losses early in the year.
Syracuse with the great names in the history with Zonka and Jim Brown and Floyd Little and all them, but they haven't been good, really good. He had 1 or 2 years early.
They're 5-5.
Went away from a bowl. NC State, Pittsburgh, though, 2 top 20 teams.
Yeah, I don't expect them to go bowling or beat either of those teams. They could, and if they do, just win one of those and they are going bowling, and you would think he'd safely be off the hot seat. It's not a job I pay a whole lot of attention to, quite frankly, and I don't know enough to know what the feeling is like about him up there. But depending on, I guess, how he finishes, it looks like just at least being in contention should be enough. The biggest thing though with Syracuse is you're going to if you were to fire Dino Babers, who are you going to go get?
Yeah.
With 15 other jobs open, and not a wide pool of candidates to begin with. I mean, who are you really going to go get that's going to be better than Dino Babers in the long run? Maybe they have that answer, but it makes sense if he were to stick around.
It was 2018 they had a 10-win season, which is not too far in the distance, although in this day and age, last week seemed like a distant future.
Yeah, and
distance past.
And this next one is just on the benefit of being on a 3-game winning streak, which could turn into.
By the way, you mentioned Philip Montgomery and Dino, both former Baylor.
Yeah,
guys,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah, same staff. This one is on the benefit of, after what was a terrible 5-game losing streak, a 3-game winning streak now for North Texas and Seth Luttrell off. I think you can, even though they're probably going to finish 5-7 if they beat FIU this week and then lose to UTSA, which most people would expect, but on a 3-game losing streak and beat UTEP last week. So I think Seth Luttrell maybe has moved himself off that. Yeah.
Good for them. With Phil Bennett, defensive coordinator, a good friend of the show. And
yeah, I mean, they need to beat FIU to get to at least 5 wins to make it respectable, make that UTSA game interesting. But, yeah, I mean, again, another job where, okay, you're going to get rid of Seth Luttrell and do what?
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do? You can go hire some big name. Who are you going to hire? So, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. And, I think next year, though, he's playing on the line enough that he's going to have to, show some continued progress and can't really afford to have the start that they had this year, be a continuation. But, I would think that their rebound has probably saved his job for right now.
Here's a story. Again, Dino Babers, Syracuse, 2021 make or break season for Dino Babers. We'll see.
And I might be wrong on that one. I just think that, again, and maybe he didn't take himself off the hot seat, but the rest of the college football world did for him. And
how about this name that just popped into this interview? Sterling Gilbert. Sterling Gilbert is the offensive coordinator. Remember how Texas just slobbered all over him.
Oh, yeah. While they were yes, I remember very clearly Texas fans and media bashing the ever-loving S out of Baylor at every turn and then turning around after, bashing Art Briles over and over again, going to hire one of his proteges in the same moment that they were bashing him and what a scumbag he was. They went and tried to hire Art Jr., basically, because they couldn't hire somebody with that last name to do what they really wanted to do, and then it failed miserably. So, yeah, I do remember that very well.
Yeah, sent the president
on a leer to
go get Sterling Gilbert. Why? Because he was under the Briles tree, and that was the only reason why. That was the only reason.
Yeah. I actually had hardly coached with him for very long at all.
Yeah. But he was way down the chain of, direct connections, yeah.
Yeah. And number 1, Mike Norvell. Beating Miami last week takes him square off the hot seat. And look, even if he splits the last 2 games, as long as that split is a win in Gainesville, believe me, his seat is ice cold. If you beat Miami and Florida in the same year, after all the things that have gone on, you have made progress. So, they could beat Boston College tomorrow. I'm not expecting them to on the road, but they could. Florida
by then they might
up.
They feel like they're out of gas emotionally. Yeah.
So if he gets the 2 rivals in 1 year, take him off. I know Deion Sanders is making noise about being a head coach, but that will probably, if you're Florida State, Deion Sanders will always probably be an option for you. I mean, unless he winds up being the head coach at Alabama one day, Deion Sanders is probably an option for you. So that's always going to be on the table. So you don't need to just react because he wants a head coaching job. Right now, because they could have done that when they hired Mike Norvell, because they hired him there, interviewed him at the same time. So there's the top 5.
All right, I like it. I do like it. 2 former Baylor names. Paul's favorite program at Florida State. Armstrong Sims, thank you very much. Appreciate you. Tomorrow, who's producing tomorrow? Who's doing the show tomorrow? Armstrong doing the show tomorrow. Jack McKenzie, his brother Zach was here earlier today as well. It was good to see him. Hayden Bumpus was here for just a little bit. For Paul Catalina and Craig Smoak, high school football playoff game.